Right folks, today we're looking into the disaster that happened just here in 1875. Come along with me, we're checking out the canal, we're checking out a few other things. Roll the credits.
Roll the credit.
Today on the Black Country History Hunter, we start with the birth of the 1775 Stourbridge Canal and we end with tragedy. This was the birth of the start of the Industrial Revolution in my eyes. This was when Britain became great. Earl of Dudley owned all the mineral rights in the area and he would lend it out to certain people to dig it but make profit himself. The man, the Earl of Dudley, decided he needed to connect his coal mines to the River Severn to make him richer than ever. He tasked somebody with building the 1775 Stourbridge Canal. You'll see a picture of it here. This was a work of art. Where we are now is the very start of the canal. The middle pool, which we know today was the original feeder, which you can see here. Later on, the feeder became the Grove. Before the Grove became the feeder, it was a quarry, and the fish pits are just behind me here, which you can see on a map now. The fish pits were old and derelict by the time the 1800s was ended. Fish Pub, I think, was named because of the fish pits. So yeah, the canal was born. So once it was done, factories sprung up around the canal, especially at the beginning. But one case is the Bromley Works, guys. This was a beautiful cathedral to iron. Absolutely amazing. A very important process, the Beasley process, was actually used there for 2 years before it was actually released to the public. You can see a little example of what it's about there in this cutting. Later on, the works would go on to do other things. It was an amazing works. You can see here that the canal itself had its own section. So the canal would split into two at the bridge, or the Haywards Bridge, and it would make one side for the canal Bromley Works, one side for the feeder itself. Now the Waller's coal mine, pit number 25, pit number 26, 24 and 27 were the Earl of Dudley's pits, but they were called the Wallows Collieries because the area was a wallow or a fen. The Bromley factory itself was situated now where we see the Dell Stadium, right by the canal, and it was beautifully made. So today we're going to be walking down the canal, the 1775 canal. You can see a plan of it here. We're going to be looking into the tragedy. Don't forget to subscribe and wait till the end, guys, because the tragedy is a bad one. It's going to be really horrific. You're not going to believe what happened just down there at the Earl of Dudley's mines. First of all, let's check out the Bromley Pits because I think you'll find it interesting. Right guys, so we're walking down the Bromley Canal now. This is to our left. To our right, sorry, we've got the Dell Stadium. If you just look down in the trees there, you can see that there's quite a dip. Now this dip here is actually, believe it or not, part of the Bromley dock, the canal dock for Bromley Ironworks, guys. So if you look at the picture here, you can actually see the dock itself. Look at that, how well made it is. Absolutely beautiful, stunning iron factory. And it's still there, folks. If we dig here, I'm sure we'll find the wall to it. Absolutely amazing. There's a story here as well where you can see the works being sold. If you look at this cutting, 1867, the works are being sold by some firm, local firm, and you can actually see in there the amount of stuff that's being sold, guys. So you've got 200 ton of steel it is, I think, pig iron, other things, and it mentions a beam engine, folks. And if we look at the picture here, you can see the beam engine. They had two in the area. Absolutely amazing, guys. Beam engines were all over this area, and the 1814 map, 1840 to 1862 map shows that. Now the reason that map is actually made is for quite a dark reason actually. So in 1831 there was an outbreak of cholera in India. By 1832 this had reached Britain. It started off I think in Sunderland and it spread down into our area. Built up areas that were very built up and tight packed were affected by the cholera. And there's a case here of some German workers that were based in Dudley living in a room, 2 rooms, 19 of them I think. One of them guys come down with the cholera. Awful. These maps came later and it was an idea anywhere that had really big industry where there was lots of people, such as this area, would be mapped out and they'd map the drains and such. So the reason we've got these maps, guys, is not a good reason, but it's great that we've got them, folks. And what an amazing view we've got here of Pensnet. Look at the industry. We're heading now over to the other side. Just there's a wharf, Haywards Wharf, which is now gone. We're going to look at that quickly, then we're going to head up to where the disaster happened, guys, the tragedy. Stick around because it's worth it, folks. So just try and imagine walking down here. Next time you're walking down this canal, imagine the beautiful factory to your right. An iron factory, not just an iron factory. This was not just designed for making iron, this was designed to look good. This is when industry was amazing and Britain was proud. We were pushing forward with industry. Let's head over to Haywards Wharf now and see what we foresee. Right guys, we're sitting here now where the culvert was put in the 1930s. So we've got the Bull's Head, new Bull's Head. The old Bull's Head was just there. And here where we are now is where the culvert was put in. The wall behind me, when it was put in, I believe they used some of the old bricks from the old bridge. The wharf itself was just there, which we're going to now. Over there, there's a bottle dump. Now, many years ago, I believe a lot of the dump was put into this culvert as well. So I think if we dug in here, we'd find a lot of ash and a lot of bottles. We found loads of bottles over there, didn't we, Burt?
Still find them there.
Still find them to this day, guys. Let's have a look at the culvert. Right, guys, we're here now where the old Haywards Wharf used to be. There was two wharfs that the canals would drive up, all connected with the 1775 canal. So when this infrastructure went in, it was like the M25 of its day. Very important place. This connected the Earl of Dudley's Wallows Pits with the canal down to Stourbridge and all through the country, and in some instances the world, folks. Coal from here would have ended up anywhere in the empire. Could have been India, could have been Africa. This was a very important place for the industry of the time. Very. Tram lines ran all the way down the side of this bank. On the photo you can see it here, and the wharf are in there. I don't know if there's anything left today, but we're going to have a look in the trees. Come with me, let's see if there's anything left. Right, so, okay, I can see now there's something there, folks. So, I think what they've done is they've turned them into drains, which at least there's something left. So, they've put a pipe, connected the drains from Brookmoor, and they've used this wharf. But this here was originally a wharf, guys. You know, we're looking at it now. This would have been the first one. The other one was just there at the edge of the fence. It's been wide enough to accept a canal boat. They would have been loaded with the Earl of Dudley's finest coal. And guys, we're getting to the sad bit now. Stick with us. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share with your friends, man, because it really helps the channel. We don't make any money from this. We do it purely for the love of it. Burt, my cameraman, and myself, we're going to walk up now. We're going to look where the disaster happened, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, and just hold in our thoughts the victims of that day. And it's not what you think, guys. Let's have a look. Right, guys, I'm on the ash bank now, and I'm walking towards the site of the disaster. I've got to watch my footing because it's a steep hill, as you know, on the ash bank. So I want to take you back now 100 years, over 100 years. Something happened here, guys, that was horrific. But not for humans, but for animals. Let me show you what I mean. So yeah, folks, the tragedy happened here. So in 1875, pit number 25, which is underneath the ash bank, right on the tip where we are now, 8 horses tragically were killed in a fire that started at midnight in 1875, around about September. On the morning when they arrived, the pit was flaring with flame. It was absolutely like a devil's scene. Awful, awful news. These men really did love their horses. They would have tended to them every day, brought them sweets and treats when they could. It was one of those things. The horse that you had in the pit that you looked after was your horse. I've seen reports, as you can see here, that 8 horses died, but I've seen reports that 80 horses died. 80 guys. That's got to be too far-fetched, but it could have been true. I'm going to look into it more, but even if 8 died, it was a tragedy. And it happened here underneath our feet. Looking out into this vista now, this is the Waller's Colliery. It was connected by the feeder behind me to the River Severn. This connection was important for the Earl of Dudley. It's enabled his coal to reach round the country and in most cases round the world. Steamboats and alike. Yeah, so I honestly believe the Black Country people are what they are today because of the disasters that happened, because of the hard life they lived. So, for instance, the average black countryman would grow up, he'd go into the foundry, go into the pit. These were hard jobs. The reason the jobs were here, we couldn't help it. The black country had to be the black country because of the coal beneath our feet, guys. Once that fire was lit 300 years ago, whatever it was, once they lit the beast, the black heart of the Midlands lit up, and the Industrial Revolution was born, folks. And out of that came many hard jobs. And the people that worked these jobs were strong people, hard people, people like my dad, people like my granddad, round oakers, really strong men. As I've been looking into the archives, it's apparent to me there was a lot of pain and misery in the past, but we need to look at it, we need to remember it, and I want to bring these stories to life because I feel in remembering the past, we're putting roots into the future, and you know, we all need that sometimes. my mental health ain't the best at times, and I find having something rooted in the past, having some history to me, it just makes for fairer sailing forward. And I'm always looking back, and I enjoy bringing these videos to you. Hope you enjoyed this one, folks. So yeah, we looked at the pits over at Brookmoor. This is all the Waller's Colliery, Earl of Dudley's. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, guys. The channel's growing ever so much, all because of you. So I really appreciate it. Keep watching, and I'll see you on the next one, folks. Thank you.
All bells in paradise, I heard them ring. Bits gold on the outside and silver within.